So today we are here to talk about SonarQube. Now, I'm not sure how many of you have already heard of SonarQube or worked with SonarQube. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction on SonarQube. I will also introduce you to static code analysis. Right, so we'll talk about our static code analysis. We'll understand what is SonarQube, how it works. I'm going to also talk about architecture of SonarQube, and then we are going to have a small demonstration. And finally, we'll have around 15 minutes of Q&A. Yeah, that's the agenda for today. And as far as I go, my name is Amit. I'm based out of Bangalore, which is in India. If you guys didn't know, I have around 18 years of experience, mostly on DevOps. I work as a principal architect as of now in my current employment. Yeah. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see my screen. Okay. If you don't, please let me know. Okay. So let's talk about static code analysis, right? Also known as SCA, static code analysis. So what is static code analysis? Do we know code analysis? Code analysis is all about analyzing your code to find any defects. Right? What is your code? Your code is your product. And you have been given a requirement by a customer or by a client to develop a product. You are writing code to develop that product, and then you want to find defects of the product. Okay, now you can do code analysis in two ways. There could be a dynamic code analysis, and there could be static code analysis. Dynamic code analysis is also known as testing, right? System testing or functional testing, regression testing, performance testing, whatever. So you run your application and then test it, right? So if you want to test, if you have developed, let's say Amazon.in, you will deploy the application somewhere and then test it. Is my login working? Is the GUI coming nicely? How is the performance? Is the normal shopping workflow working? Right. So you are going to test the application when it is running. That's called dynamic testing, which is also known as testing or dynamic code analysis. Static code analysis is done when your application is not running. And generally, what you do is you take your application code base and statically analyze it. That means you don't execute the application. What you do is you analyze your code base. You want to do static code analysis to understand, are you writing your code properly, right? So are you writing enough comments? Are you calling the functions appropriately? In your code, are you somewhere dividing by 0? Yeah. How is the complexity of your code, right? Then there could be many functional issues or coding guidelines. So in a nutshell, in static code analysis, you check the quality of code. You don't check the quality of the product. You can write very bad quality code, but still your product can work fine, right? But if you write bad quality code, it's very difficult to maintain. If there is a new feature request or if there is a bug raised on the application, it's very difficult to fix a bug or add new features if the code is not written properly, right? If the code is not modular and it is not commented well, it is not designed well, in that case, it's going to pose a lot of challenges for maintaining, right? So to identify the quality of code, we use static code analysis, right? Now, there are multiple things of static code analysis, like multiple perspectives of static code analysis. First thing is linting, right? You want to see if your code is written in correct guidelines, right? Your organization can have some guidelines. There are some publicly available guidelines for some specific programming languages. For example, if you're coding in Python, there are some guidelines. For example, there should be always 2 blank lines before a function definition, right? This is a coding guideline. It does not have any impact on the behavior of the application that you're developing, but it enhances the readability of your code. Similarly, there are other suggestions. For example, in Python, there is a very well-known guideline that any line of code in Python should not be more than 80 characters. So a length of a line should be less than 80 characters. Otherwise, it's identified as bad code, right? So these all comes in linting, right? Then there is complexity. For example, how many iterative loops are you running in your code? Are you running a for loop inside a for loop inside a for loop? Are you running multiple if else conditions? So you want to reduce as much complexity as possible. So this is called complexity. So you can lint your code, you can find out the complexity of your code. There could also be security level analysis, like, are you hard coding your passwords? Are you hard coding your API keys? Are you calling your SQL queries directly? So all that stuff. So security analysis as well, right? Now, to identify all these problems in your code base, we have many tools in the industry. There are specific language specific tools, like for Python, there is Flake8, or there is Black, or Pylint. Then for C++, there is like CPP-Lint, and many tools, right? But then those tools are not very enterprise grade tools. For example, all the open source tools which I just mentioned, they don't generate proper report. They can give programmatical output like exit status or some sort of textual output, but you cannot generate a graphical report out of it. You cannot publish the report. You cannot have a historical data of how the quality of your code is increasing or decreasing over time. Right? So all those features are not provided by those tools. That's where we use SonarQube. Right? SonarQube provides you capability to statically analyze the code. Right? With a single tool, you can do multiple languages. You can analyze code of multiple languages, and you can also generate the report. Nice reports. You can also see details about the problems found. You can also convert those problems into actionable items like stories or bugs in your project management tools like Jira. You can also enforce some quality standards in your CI pipelines. So you can say if Jenkins is running and if some code quality issues are found, then the Jenkins pipeline should be failed. Right? So it integrates with your version control system, your CI systems, your project management systems, and it can create an overall integrated quality of code centric environment. All right. So how does SonarQube work? Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please ask them on the Q&A window, not on the chat window. Right? Chat window gets very cluttered. So please ask only on Q&A window. All right. So how does SonarQube work? Yeah, at a very high level. SonarQube is a central tool. Okay. So it needs a server to be installed on. So let's say this is a server. It could be a VM, it could be a very powerful server, it could be an EC2 instance, whatever. Here's a server, and you install SonarQube. Okay. Now SonarQube has three components. Just give me a second. Let me identify an image. If we have a reference diagram. Just give me a second. Okay, maybe I'm not finding that diagram. So let me just draw it for you. So there is there are three components in SonarQube. There is a web interface. Okay. This web interface contains or displays the code quality of any code base. All right. So for example, let's say you have a code written in Java, right? And you have a laptop or a maybe CI build machine or whatever, build system, where you have Java based code base. Okay, or maybe Python based code base, whatever. And this is your code files, right? This is your code base. So what you do is you use a small utility called as Sonar Scanner. So it's a small library, it's a small executable, which will go through your code files and generate a report. Okay, so you will say, hey, Sonar Scanner, here is my code base, analyze it. It's going to generate a report, and then Sonar Scanner is going to push this report to the web server or to the SonarQube server, wherever SonarQube is installed. Now SonarQube is going to parse this report and create a GUI based report for you. Okay, maybe on HTML or whatever. And it's going to store this report with the timestamp in a database. Right? So what happens is Sonar Scanner will analyze the code. It's going to generate a report locally wherever it analyzes, sends the report to the web interface. Web interface is going to parse the report and creates a GUI based report representation. And then it's also going to save the report in the database. So for example, if you run the code on 1st of June, then it will say, okay, 1st June 2023, there is a report saved. The next time, maybe you modify the code, add some new lines to the code, and maybe increase the quality of the code. Then you analyze it again, maybe after a week. So you say Sonar Scanner, run my analysis again. It generates a report and then sends the report back to the web interface. It's going to create a new version of the report and it's going to save it into the database. So say 8th of June 2023, this new report is generated, right? So as and when your code develops, you start analyzing your code base, and you also start seeing, okay, historically, how the code quality has been increasing or decreasing. And you can also immediately see, whenever you analyze a code, you will immediately see that, hey, what are the problems in my code? In the GUI, it can show you what is a problem, the details of a problem, potentially, how to solve it as well. All right. So that's what SonarQube is for us. Okay. SonarQube is written in Java. So in the SonarQube itself is written in Java, but that does not have any impact on how do we use it. Okay. When we install SonarQube on a server, we need a Java runtime environment, right? So there is a, depending on which Sonar server you install, you need to install a specific minimum version of Java runtime environment. And there is a limitation on what kind of database you can use, right? So you can use, I think, MS SQL and PostgreSQL, but you cannot use MySQL, I think. So there are some guidelines there. All right. Sonar Scanner is also written in Java. So whenever you want to run Sonar Scanner, you should have Java runtime engine installed. That's it. And then you can use Sonar Scanner. So let me just show you how we can work with SonarQube and use Sonar Scanner. All right. So let's take a machine. I'm going to create a machine on my AWS account. Give me a sec. Give me a second. Let's create a new one. While the machine is coming, let me answer some questions. Is SonarQube free to use or licensed? SonarQube is, it supports both model. There is a basic version available for free, which we are going to use. It has some limitations, but those limitations should not stop anyone from learning SonarQube. It is fully featured. Some extra enterprise level features are not working in that. So then there are a couple of licenses, which I will show you later, what is the difference and what kind of licensing model they have. What is the main purpose? purpose to use SonarQube? I already mentioned it is about static code analysis. If you want to statically analyze your code, where can we access the recording if you want to access it for later? I think the SkillUpRight team is going to share these with you. Will SonarQube be useful if you want to configure for Android code base? Huge checkout with many other components having various languages and get analysis for components we modify. Absolutely, yes. The SonarQube static code analysis also identifies any potential security vulnerabilities. Yes. Which programming language are supported? Let me take you to that. Before, let's connect to this machine and set up SonarQube. Okay, so I have got a machine. I'm going to connect to it. So this is an Ubuntu machine that I have. Let me also maybe zoom in a bit so that you can see it more easily. So this is an Ubuntu machine that I have, and I'm going to become root and quickly run an apt update on it. I will use Docker for running the application SonarQube. So let me install Docker as well. Okay, done. So let's all right. So now I'm going to go to so this is the SonarQube image, right? Okay, I'll use that. So I'm going to say Docker run -d name SonarQube and please don't worry about what commands I'm using. It could differ for you. Yeah. And I'll say Sonar. So if you don't know Docker and if you don't know what I'm doing, it is fine. It's not very important. You just want to see how SonarQube server runs and how do we interact with it. All right. Okay. So installed. SonarQube is installed. And if I say connect to my machine on port 9000, maybe I need to give more parameters. Just give me a sec. Looks like some more things may have changed. So I'm going to give some more parameters. This option is not working. Just give me a second. For some reason, oh, not sure why it is. Okay. So this way with Docker, it is not working. Let me try something else then. Yeah. So let me take you through the official documentation. All right. So you can see here, as I told you this diagram, I was looking for it, but yeah, now I found it. Okay. So the first thing is that we need a database, right? If you're installing SonarQube just for test purpose, then you don't need to set up a database. But if you are running in production, you need scalability and high availability. You can use any of these databases. Okay. But for now, I'm not going to use any database. I'm just going to use the built-in database. All right. So the first thing is we need to ensure that the requirements of the system are fulfilled. So hardware requirement, at least 2 GB of RAM, 1 GB of free RAM should be okay. Let's see how much do we have. Maybe that's the problem. Yeah, we don't have enough storage. Let's see if we can change it and that works for us. Just give me a second. I just stopped this instance. And I'll change its type in the meanwhile. Okay, I did change the instance type. Sorry about this. I'm just hoping that the resources was the issue. Okay, so host name has changed. Let's quickly change that as well. Yeah, so it was a resource issue. So now I see that it is going to start fine. Let's give it some time. This SonarQube server is up. Yeah, somewhere it says. It doesn't say SonarQube is up yet. Just give it 1 minute at most. Now, if I come here, hopefully I should see something more meaningful. Yeah, so SonarQube is starting. All right, process is up, SonarQube is operational, and we see here login password. So I say admin. So this is the default username password, admin, and I'm logged in. I can change it. I have to change it. So I'll change it to something else. There you go. I changed my password. All right. So this is my SonarQube, right? And I can say, hey, on this SonarQube instance, I want to publish my reports and I want to identify if my reports or if my SonarQube system is working fine or not. All right. So let's quickly find a Python code base and analyze it. Right. So on GitHub, I can say example Python project. I'll just find some code base. Yeah, so this is a Python based code base. Here is some Python code. This is just one code, maybe a bit more. Yeah, so there are some Python projects, right? So I'm going to clone this repository and see if this we can analyze. Yeah, so I'm going to clone this repository on my machine. So maybe let's do it on our laptop. So I'll say git clone this repository. And there you go. I have got a repository which has a lot of Python projects. Sorry, I'm sometimes in Linux mode. So all these contain, Python code base, right? Let's pick up one folder, and here is a Python code, right? So if I say main.py, it has all this code, right? It's fine now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze this code. I want to see if this code has any quality issues. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, first thing is, if I go to my architecture diagram, which I showed you, we need, where did it go? We need a Sonar scanner and Java installed on my machine. So on my laptop, if I say Java version, sorry, I see that Java is installed, right? And now I can download Sonar scanner and analyze my files. So I go to Sonar's website and just look for Sonar scanner download. Sonar scanner. I'll say Sonar scanner here. Yeah. On the top, there is a download thing. So I can download for Windows 64-bit, right? And it is downloading here. So let's show it in the folder, and I'm going to extract it here. How do I extract? Yes, please. So my Sonar scanner is here. I can just call this binary and analyze my code, right? So what I'm going to do is, let me go back to my terminal and I'll just say sonar scanner.bat, run sonar scanner in this directory. Press enter. It's going to start something, but it's going to give me some errors, right? For example, it says SonarQube server is not reachable. So I need to tell this sonar scanner, where is my SonarQube server? By default, it expects a SonarQube server to be running on my local machine, right? So I can say, not here, look at SonarQube scanner at some other sonar server at some other place, right? So let me create a configuration file for sonar scanner where I can give all this information to it. So I'm going to create sonar. The file is called sonarscanner.properties. Okay. So sonarscanner.properties. Unfortunately, we don't have BIM here. So here it is going to create a new file. Yes, please. So I'm going to write all the details here. So whatever configurations you can provide to Sonar Scanner are also documented by Sonar Scanner here. So if you look for Sonar Scanner documentation, you can see all these configurations. Yeah. So you can just take a look at them. I will copy something and paste these here. There should be also this one. So where is the notepad? Here. Yeah, so I'm going to remove these comments lines. Or let them be there for some time. And remove this. Okay. So first thing is I need to tell SonarQube, where is my SonarQube host, SonarQube server. So my SonarQube server runs here. Where is it? Here. I'm going to give the URL for the SonarQube server, that Sonar Scanner should reach out to this URL for my SonarQube server, right? And I need to give information about what project I'm working on. So I say audiobook or audiobook. I save it and close it. Now let's run the scanner again. And this time the scanner is going to automatically pick up all the properties from this file. Okay, let's see what it gives us. Okay, it says SonarQube server cannot be reached. In that case, maybe it is not picking up our file. It should have picked up actually. Dash scanner. Sonar.project.property. Sorry, it should be this one. All right, now it should pick up. And it is moving forward. But here it says it find out some other issues. It says not authorized. So looks like analysis is starting fine, but when it tries to publish the report, my user is not authorized to connect to the server. Okay, so let's give it a authentication also. So all I need to do is I need to give a Sonar login. Right. So first thing is, let's again open our properties file, Notepad Sonar project properties file, and I'm going to add one more property here, Sonar.login. And what I need to do is I need to give it a authentication token. Okay, so I can go to my SonarQube and I can go to my account and go to security and create a authentication token. Right, so Sonar scanner, and the token type is global analysis token, expires maybe never, and generate here. So this is the token which I created. This will be used as authentication so that my scanner can contact this server. Okay, so I'll just say, hey, use this token. So I'll remove these things and save. Not required. So save the file. Now let's see what happens. Hopefully everything should work. And now you can see we do not get that error. It is moving ahead. It may take some time. It does something and finally done. Okay, it says execution is success, and you can say analysis successful. You can find the results at this URL. So I can click on this URL or open this URL and paste it in my browser, and it's going to show me what it has found in my code. Okay, so looks like this code is very small and not much of problems are here. But it does say that it has found, some code smells, which is like badly written code, and there was no duplications of lines, but there is also no test was run, so there is no code coverage and things like that. So if I see what code smells were found, it says in this line, main.py line, there is a parameter called PDF reader. It here, you see, if I click on that error, it takes me to the main.py file it analyzed, and it says on line 5, there is a function called play, which has a parameter PDF reader. So it should be renamed. Okay, it should be renamed because it does not match the regular expression. This one. So looks like capital letters are not suggested, and they are using capital letters. So it says only use underscore A to Z as a starting character, and then A to Z or 0 to 9 as rest of the characters. So that's the problem it shows. Right. So now I can see, hey, very nice. It gives me a problem. So let me fix that problem. I go to my code. And here I can just rename it as PDF reader. Right? But then I have to change it at all over the places. PDF reader, and things like that. That's enough. And now let's analyze the file again. Yeah, I analyze it again. It's going to take again some time. and execution is successful. If I now again go back to the overview, now it says no problems found because I fixed that problem. Right? So this is how you can see, and you can see historical data also. On June 14, 3:53 p.m., there were these many issues with the code, but at the second analysis, there were like this many issues. And we can do a lot of things. If the code is very complex, you can see how the trend is going about the static code analysis. You can also see if there are any security hotspots, if there are any security findings with the code. Yeah, I see there are a lot of questions, but we are running out of time, so maybe I'll show you the licensing. So SonarQube license. Right. So let's go to free Sonar. So the free SonarQube version supports many things. So it supports all these languages, supports Java, Kotlin, C#, Visual Basic, Kubernetes configuration language, Terraform code, and Golang, HTML5, and things like that. Right. So if you have these kind of code in your code base, just run static code analysis, Sonar Scanner, and it's going to identify what code is there, and it's going to analyze those. But then if you find your language not covered here, right, then you will have to go to your developer license. So if I go to developer, yeah, it supports 25 plus languages. It has pull request decoration, so you can mark your pull requests on GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket that, hey, static code analysis is showing that this pull request is generating some problems. So you can have all these all those things in your pull request. Right? Then finally, there is enterprise license, which is a bit expensive, but it gives a lot of enterprise grade features. For example, parallel processing of analysis report. You can also export the reports as PDF. You can manage multiple projects as portfolio. Then you can transfer projects from one instance to another instance and generate security reports and things like that. Right? Licensing is counted based on how many lines of codes are analyzed. So, if your code is huge, your licensing cost can be much larger. Okay, so this is how the licensing works. All right, let me see if I answered many questions. Licensing is answered. For Android, I don't know if free version supports Android. I don't see it here, but maybe the developer license supports maybe. SonarQube developer edition languages. It supports Java, including Android, and Swift as well. So yeah, you are covered with developer license. Then does SC also identify any potential security vulnerabilities? Yes, it does. Which programming languages are supported? I just answered that. Advantage of SonarQube over ClockWorks. I have not used ClockWorks, but maybe if you can do your own analysis, should be there. It's a static code analysis. I will have to do some analysis on this. I cannot answer this question as of now. Sorry about that. What are the high-level steps to integrate SonarQube with Azure DevOps pipeline? SonarQube has good documentation on that, on how to integrate with Azure DevOps. So you can go through that. Yeah, so it's a native documentation by SonarQube. It's pretty straightforward. That's it. Any example for security vulnerability, please? I don't have any code here with me, but yeah, URL injection, SQL injection, these are some pretty standard vulnerability checks. Do we have option to add SonarQube to CI/CD? Yes, of course. You can follow the documentation. For example, let's say You can use SonarQube in Jenkins or with Maven as well, part of your CI/CD. To scan Terraform code, you don't need to do anything special. Just have Terraform code and run your scanner. That's all. Memory corruption or leak issues. Unfortunately, no, Sonar Scanner cannot do that because it's a static code analysis tool. It does not run the program. Okay, it does do code coverage, but you have to write your unit test cases and execute them. What type of rule set is being used by SonarQube for static analysis? Very good question. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. But if you set up SonarQube and go to rules, you can see all kind of rules here, right? So for example, for Python, there are 224 rules, right? So for example, it says open, close, greater than, lesser than brackets should not be used to test inequality. Pass should not be used needlessly. Then all code should be reachable, for example. So a lot of rules are here. So you can see what kind of rules are here. I can also see, for example, if you go to C#, let's say, or you can also get rules from external providers like PyLint or something. So those rules can also be added here. Okay. So yeah, free version does not support C, C++, unfortunately. Right? There is no limit on LOC for free version, but if you go for license, that is based on LOC. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. We are already beyond our scheduled time. Hopefully the session was useful to you. You get to learn something. I apologize for those 5 minutes wasted because of the memory issue. But gladly we could overcome that. And I hope you had a good understanding, good time. Thank you so much for your time and take care. Have a good day. Bye.